If you ever see an animal glowing blue in the caverns of the hive, you probably shouldn't go anywhere near it, because it means a hunter has already found it. And the hunters may not be the only things following. Hunters are relatively small compared to many of the creatures living beneath New Eden. They aren't particularly well built for wrestling with large prey, and getting close to something several times their own size could easily get them killed. So instead of overpowering their prey, hunters slowly remove its ability to fight back, and the hunt usually begins before the victim even realizes it's being followed. When a hunter notices that its prey is looking directly toward it, the creature stops moving completely. Its angular shell and low body help break up its silhouette against the surrounding rocks. As long as it remains motionless, it can be surprisingly difficult to distinguish from the cavern around it. Eventually, the animal looks away, and the hunter starts moving again, slowly creeping closer. If the prey turns back toward it, it freezes again, but this becomes much more effective when several hunters are involved. Because the hunter you're looking at may not be the one that's moving, hunters normally stalk larger prey in groups. One might remain directly in front of the animal, deliberately holding its attention while another approaches from the side. The prey turns toward the movement. That hunter stops. Another begins advancing. Instead of behaving like three animals independently chasing the same target, the pack seems capable of changing roles depending on what the prey is doing. And eventually, one of them gets into position. That's when the first shot comes. But strangely, the hunter isn't necessarily trying to kill anything with it. It's trying to make the next attack easier. Hunters produce a corrosive bioluminescent substance inside specialized organs within their bodies. When they fire, they prefer exposed and vulnerable areas, especially the eyes. A direct hit can cause intense pain and temporary blindness, leaving even a very large animal panicked and disoriented. But there may be another reason this substance became so corrosive. Many of the larger creatures living in the underworld are heavily protected. Some have thick hides, others have armored plates, shells, or massive carapaces capable of resisting claws and bites. This creates an evolutionary problem. There's little advantage in developing larger teeth if your prey simply develops thicker armor in response. Hunters appear to have taken a completely different route. Instead of evolving something strong enough to break the armor, they evolved something capable of dissolving it. The corrosive substance can attack exposed joints and gaps between plates, while repeated hits gradually weaken harder protective surfaces. So an animal that would be extremely difficult to injure with claws can slowly become vulnerable without the hunter ever needing to get close. But the acid has another property. It glows. And once it sticks to the victim, escaping becomes much harder. A wounded animal can disappear behind rocks or run deep into the caverns. But the hunters can still follow the glowing residue left on its body and along anything it touches. Other members of the pack can recognize it as well. So even a hunter that wasn't involved in the original attack may immediately know that the animal has already been wounded. Unfortunately for the hunters, they're not the only creatures that have figured this out. Some animals actively follow hunter packs, not because they're allies. They're waiting for the hunters to do the dangerous part of the hunt for them. Over time, these animals have learned that a glowing creature is usually injured, stressed, and becoming increasingly unable to defend itself. So they follow from a distance. Once the prey begins weakening, they move in. Sometimes this actually benefits the hunters. A larger predator attacking their target can exhaust it even further. It may force the animal to expose vulnerable parts of its body, and while the prey is busy defending itself against something else, the hunters can fire again. But there is no cooperation between them. Sometimes the hunters spend hours stalking an animal, blinding it, weakening its armor, and slowly wearing it down, only for something much larger to arrive and simply steal the carcass. The hunters lose the entire kill. And that's actually one of the stranger consequences of their hunting strategy. The glowing substance gives them an enormous advantage, but evolution didn't make the signal visible only to hunters. Other creatures adapted to exploit it. Therefore, every successful attack also carries the risk of attracting competition. So, what makes a pack of hunters dangerous despite their relatively fragile bodies? They don't need to overpower something larger than themselves. One hunter keeps its attention, another moves while it isn't looking. The first shot attacks the senses. The acid begins eating through its defenses. The glow prevents it from disappearing. Repeated attacks slowly exhaust it, and eventually completely unrelated predators may begin following the hunt as well. By the time the hunters actually approach their prey, most of the fight has already happened. So, if you ever find something glowing blue in the darkness beneath New Eden, the creature carrying the mark may already be doomed. The only question is, what gets to it first?